Hello everyone. So we are discussing the sequence diagram. In the first part, we discussed about what is sequence diagram, right? And in the second part, we discussed about the different elements of sequence diagram, and we talked about the lifelines, messages, and activations and objects. In today's session, we will talk about the guards and the combined fragments. So let's start. If you see in this diagram, there is a one rectangle is there. This is the loop, something which I want to repeat, that we call the loop. If I have multiple options, like there is a condition when like this: if this is true, then do this, else if this condition, then do this, else do this. Means when I have the case of multiple, we call it alternative, this or this or this, alternatives, multiple conditions, we use the alt, but let's say there is only one condition: if this is true, then do this, there is no else, nothing. In that case, we use the OPT. We use OPT. So loop, alternatives, and optional. These are nothing but the combined fragments. Combined fragments are nothing but three structures. One is loops, when you want to repeat some task or some steps. Then we have the options. Options means only one condition. If it's true, then do whatever it is mentioned, otherwise you don't need to do anything, right? That is the options. Alternatives. Alternatives are basically multiple conditions or multiple options or multiple choice. That's why we call it a alternative, either this or this. To show the alternative, we use ALT. For the option, we use OPT, and for the loop, we use loop. So these are the symbols for the combined fragments. How to do it? For that, we draw one rectangle, right? We draw one rectangle, and in that rectangle, at the left top corner, we draw this box. Just a minute. See, this way you can draw it. So this is the symbol. Inside this, we write loop or OLT or OPT, whatever you want to write, you can write here. So this is about the combined fragments. So now you know when you can use. If it's a repetitive structure, then you can draw the similar way, but here you need to write the loop. If it's optional, write optional. If it's alternative, write ALT. That's it. These things you need to write over here. And inside this rectangle, inside this box, you can write your messages and other things that we will see. Right? So this is about the combined fragments. Now we know that either it's a loop or the alters or the optional, whatever. Either it's a loop or if conditions, whatever it is, we always need two things. First thing, we need a starting point, right? We need a starting point. Also, we call it the initialization, right? Initialization of the loop that we required, right? Initialization. And if it's a case of if, we need certain condition, some value we need, right? And for that, to show that condition or to show that initialization and termination, we have guards. Right? So let's understand all the things, guards and combined fragments together with one example. So as you can see that here you have a combined fragment, loop and alter, but To understand it more better, here we have example. So see, very first, what is combined fragment? So as you can see that here we have two combined fragments, 1 and 2. To show the combined fragments, we use box or the rectangle, right? Box or the rectangle. Inside this box, if it's a loop, we write loop, but do not forget to draw this symbol, this block, this way, right? It's not angled, right? And inside it you can write your combined fragment, what it is for. If it's a loop or alternative, or if it's optional, you can simply write the OPT, right? Okay, so this is first thing. Then we know that if we talk about the loop, we need some starting point. So I am going to start this loop with the value 1 and the termination is 5. So this is the initialization and termination, but I cannot write it directly. So I use guard. What I use? Guard. We also call them the condition. or the guard conditions. Guards or the conditions. And it always inside the square bracket. This way. 1 and 5. Right? So if it's a loop, we have initialization and termination. If we have the alternative, we have multiple conditions, right? So here you can see that square bracket, inside the square bracket we have x greater than 5. Here we have x less or equal to 5. Multiple conditions can be there. But keep in mind, all the conditions needs to get separated with the dashed line, right? This dashed line is mandatory, right? You can see this dashed line, right? This dashed line. So this is all about the combined fragment. Combined fragment can cover multiple classes. Multiple classes means multiple objects. Like I want to start it from here and I am repeating this with class 2. The same thing. Alternatives are there, but this is the area. So this is about the guards and the combined fragments. This you can apply in your definition wherever there is a loop style thing or the conditional type of thing. You can use this, right? So this is about the guards and the combined fragments.